Good evening, guys, and happy Tuesday to all of your sunshiny faces. I forgot what day it was because Jack was home from school yesterday and I was all thrown off. I was thinking like yesterday was Sunday, sort of. So yes, no, it is Tuesday. I did not get my sales papers to make my grocery list for today, but other than that, I got pretty much everything just about done today that I had wanted to, despite using my planner. I have not been using it yet, although I did flip to the right day. So if I do need to write something down, I can always do that. But again, I didn't end up I haven't written anything down in it. And it's been, like I said in yesterday's vlog, about a month since I've actually written in it at all. So anyways, though, I did edit 2 vlogs. I didn't upload because I realized the only one that I had edited that was still saved on my computer I actually had already uploaded. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's what happened, I think. On Friday, I uploaded, but then I didn't edit anything on Friday. I also did dishes today, and I guess I didn't really get to laundry, but because I forgot today was Tuesday, and again too, I did not use my planner and haven't been, and again, I was thinking all day today was Monday, I didn't end up cleaning the bathroom, so I'm going to have to do that tomorrow. Hopefully I will remember, but if I can get the bathroom cleaned tomorrow, even though normally I try and do it on Tuesdays, I can still try and do that. But that was one thing that, again, I forgot to do because I forgot that it was actually Tuesday. And on top of that too, by the time I realized it was Tuesday, it was sort of too late for me to really start doing it, so I didn't end up cleaning in there today. I told you guys I was going to bed early last night, and I did. However, I still ended up not waking up very early today, and I was frustrated because I actually woke up earlier on Monday and I went to bed insanely late on Sunday. I ended up waking up earlier on Monday than I did today, and actually went to bed early last night. Although I went to bed early last night, but I took a shower and everything like that. I was probably out of the shower by about midnight last night, which for me is early considering when I've been going to bed. So like I was all ready to go to bed, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna read like, you know, a half a chapter of my book, and because it's about like 20 pages, which isn't that much, but takes me at least like maybe about a half an hour. So, and a lot of times too, if I'm reading, I'm like start to get tired, I will fall asleep before I actually finish the chapter. So normally when I end up reading like a chapter of my book, I only read half of it, because a lot of times by the time I get halfway through it, I'm like, okay, should I stop here? Should I keep reading? And normally I'm like, I will start falling asleep, and like especially if I'm really tired, I'll start falling asleep and then like try to keep going and then realize that I didn't really remember anything that I read because I've kept almost falling asleep. So I've been telling myself like only read half of a chapter at a time, because chapters aren't insanely long, but I'm just like, you know, again, when I'm reading, normally it actually helps me fall asleep instead of being on my phone and all that kind of stuff right before I go to bed. So I was like, okay, well, I'll read half the chapter and then, you know, hopefully I will, you know, like be tired and fall asleep. I wasn't, and I was still like wide awake, and I was like, okay, should I still keep trying to read or should I try and go to sleep? And I was like, honestly, I don't want to just stop and then be laying there for like an hour and then still can't fall asleep. So I ended up reading the entire chapter, and then I still was like wide awake. I still couldn't fall asleep. So although I went to bed early last night, I couldn't fall asleep for a while, and like I said too, I read an entire chapter then, and you know, it was like, okay, well, like, you know, I should be able to hopefully fall asleep, because normally, like I said, reading actually does sort of tire me out. But I think because I tried to still force myself to go to bed so early, even though it was weird though, because like I was tired yesterday and I should have been able to fall asleep, but I couldn't fall asleep. Like when I actually like laid down, then I like wasn't tired, even though like I was tired. So I don't know, but I ended up reading a full chapter last night instead of just half a chapter. But I am one step closer now to being finished with my book. So other than that, honestly, didn't end up doing too much else today, really. So one of the other reasons though too, I think that I was sort of lazy and sort of slept in, was because it was raining. I don't know if it was actually raining when I woke up, but it was really cloudy, and then all afternoon it's been just like downpouring. And my dad said that Jack and, you know, like football kids, they all had a fun practice. They got to go and play in the mud pretty much for most of the football practice, because it was like raining like crazy. And so my dad was like, you know, Jack was like, yeah, I had to like peel my shirt off because of just how soaking wet it was. My dad's like lanyard was like all soaked too, the fabric like ribbon sort of lanyard, and he's like, it's still soaking wet. So yeah, they must have had fun today at practice in the rain. On top of that too, it's insanely cold out. Like actually actually, though, it's not insanely cold out. Today, it's funny, like, it was really cold, obviously, on Friday during the football game. It was like, you know, like 50 something as a high that day, and was like, got down into like the 40s or something like that. And then, it's like the start of this week actually is sort of decently warm, like 60s-ish, like high to mid 60s. Then again, by the end of the week, it's supposed to get insanely cold again, like only be like low 50s as like a high, or like I think one day I saw like 40 as a high, 49 or something like that, and I was like, oh, that's fun. But that's supposed to be right at the end of the week. By like Friday, it's supposed to get like that, and I was like, seriously, like that's cold. That's crazy. So I don't know, it's weird because like it wasn't this cold. I feel like, I don't know, it's also weird too because I feel like now, just like when Matthew was in high school, like, and during his football season and stuff like that, I feel like I didn't understand like how to dress. I knew how to dress warm, but I feel like I know so many more little like hacks in order to like just dress warm. Like I wear leggings under my jeans and then go to the football games. Like most people don't bundle up that much and put that many layers on. And again too, I wear like a long sleeve shirt, then I will wear a thermal like pullover, sort of like athletic, like thermal sort of, like not like a sweatshirt but like a pullover sort of. Then I will wear like a sweatshirt, then I will wear like my North Face, then I will wear like sometimes my jacket over that, or like a vest or something. Then I also bring a blanket to the game. I always wear 2 pairs of socks. I have always got gloves, some type of hat on as well. Like I am always bundled up for the football games. I feel like though, even though I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so cold, like it is, but I feel like I don't get the same type of cold that I used to when I used to not dress that warm. Like now I'm like, it's probably the exact same temperature. I just think that like it's warmer when it wasn't really. It was just that now I know how to dress warmer, and I'm like, ah, like, you know, I'm not insanely freezing cold. It's still cold, but I'm not like, I just know how to dress warmer so that it's not that bad. So like, but the only thing too, I think I told you guys, the last like 2 weeks was that I was wearing like boots instead of like winter boots, and so they weren't insulated really well, so my feet were still cold even with the 2 socks. So that was the only part of me that I felt like was like really like, you know, like I could feel like my toes hurt sort of, like that was how cold they were. But everything else is like, you're just sort of cold, you know, but it's not unbearable. And so like I said though, but like I remember before that I used to just be like, oh my gosh, like this is too cold. Like I used to not want to go to football games because of how cold it was, but I feel like again it's just because I didn't know how to dress warm. So I don't really know if I can compare the same, like, you know, if I'm like, oh, was it really that cold or was it not that bad? But again too, like Matthew's last football game of the season, his senior year, I remember actually I was not layered up actually quite as well as I was for like, you know, like lately when I've been going to Jack's football games. But I remember his senior year, there was like 2 other games right before that that were actually much colder. This one was a weird sort of like cool but humid sort of like football game, and I remember I even brought a blanket with, and I didn't need the blanket. Like that was actually how warm it was out. Like it was still maybe like 50s or 60s or something like that. It might have still been in the 50s like by the time the football game was over, because I just remember being like, it's not really that cold out. Like I don't even remember if I brought gloves. But like I feel like that was too, even like Jack's football game last year, like I don't remember how cold it was. I feel like I just didn't really, like I said, use all of my little hacks sort of to layer up as much as I do now. And I know too, like I have certain sweatshirts that I can wear because they're a little bit like baggier, so I know that I can wear like 2 or 3 layers underneath them before I wear the sweatshirt. So like, you know, because it's a little bit baggier, so like I have certain clothes that I know which ones I can layer in order. And I feel like I used to just be like, oh, like I'll wear a long sleeve shirt and a sweatshirt and then maybe like a jacket over that or something like that. I'm like, no, I can get like 3 more layers underneath that sweatshirt if I wear the right one, you know, sort of thing. And you know, I look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man walking around because I've got like 8 layers on, but I'm never cold at the football games, which is good for the most part. Like I said too, it's just like I'm cold, but again, not unbearable, and also too, I warm up rather quickly. I remember again, there were some football games where it would take me hours and hours, like sometimes even 2 to the next day, I would still be freezing cold, like, and I'd have to like bundle up when I went to bed because of like a bathrobe and everything like that, and like 2 pairs of socks because I was still so cold from the football games. But the only football game I do definitely remember was cold, and because I actually posted a picture of it on my Instagram, was the one football game Jack's freshman year where we stayed for the varsity game. It got down to 39 degrees out, I believe it was. It was almost like freezing temperatures outside that we were out at the football game for, and that was probably the coldest football game I've ever been out there for. But again, some that have definitely been really, really close to being that cold. But I remember too, again, because I bundled up so well and I started to get into that, like knowing what I could layer and how much I could layer, I actually was not like that freezing cold at the football game. It was still pretty bad, but I remember like I think I even wore 2 pairs of gloves. Like I knew that I was going to be out and it was going to be cold, and so I dressed warm. Like, and also too, that was one of the few games I remember Matthew wearing gloves for, and like wore a hat and stuff like that. Half the time he comes in like a sweatshirt still. Like, my mom dresses up and like does the same thing too, because she used to be like the same way. She was just like, oh, you know, like I'll just wear like, you know, sweatpants or, you know, like jeans or whatever, and, you know, like a jacket and, you know, like whatever she was wearing underneath it. And I was like, you're gonna be cold if you don't wear 2 pairs of socks and you don't got gloves and, you know, all the other stuff. And now she's starting to get into the hang of it too, where like she has not been as cold since since I started telling her like you should do this and you should do that and, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's like, again, the football games have been not unbearable. Like, we've both actually been pretty warm for the football games. So, and again too, we normally bring blankets and all that kind of stuff. And to the bonus that I feel like is probably one of the best parts, we bring bleacher seats so that our butts are not on the freezing cold bleachers, because that is probably one of the worst things. That like aluminum, the metal, it's always freezing cold. I feel so bad for everybody that doesn't wind up having like, you know, those bleacher seats, because that's probably one of the absolute worst parts of sitting at the football games, is not having bleacher seats and having to sit on the actual bleachers. Like sometimes that's why a lot of people will stand up and walk around, because it's warmer to stand up and be moving than to be sitting on the freezing cold metal bleachers. Like, that's cold. So that is why. Anyways though, yes, today though was very rainy, like I said, and so I feel like that was one of the reasons why I just like, I kind of just didn't get out of bed early enough today, and was kind of just like lazy too. So anyways guys, I will see you all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye guys.